Hi everybody, Dylan here. Story 14, episode 46, Ella, beginning, part 1. We were well into our morning nap while Yip cleared up after us. She became aware that Dylan wasn't around and asked me, Ella, where was Dylan? So we began searching for him, to no avail. So we jumped into the dinghy and sped to the other side of the ICW looking for him. Ciao!
From Ella? Woof Woof Yip was cleaning up after us like she does every morning. We were well into our first nap of the day when Yip asked,
"Where's Dylan?"
I heaved myself up and out of the cabin to find him. Sometimes he will sleep in the breezeway above the companionway, or maybe up on the bow. I scanned the top of the boat. No Dylan, not anywhere, I thought. Well, he is little. Perhaps I missed him, so I searched more thoroughly, but with the same result. I even looked over the gunwale and down into the dink, which was riding on the starboard hip of the boat. No Dylan. I felt a little bit of panic beginning in my belly, especially when I noticed his life vest hanging in the cockpit. I went to the top of the companionway and gave my 3 special barks a roo, a roo, a roo. Yip always pays attention to me when I barked like this, so I tried to save it for special circumstances, like when Trask tried to hurt that cat. Yip looked up and said,
"Did you find him? Where's Dylan?"
I set off another set of aroos, letting her know I hadn't found him. Immediately, the search was on. They say dogs can't talk. Yip understood me just fine. We searched the cabin thoroughly once again. We then started at the top deck. No Dylan. I smelled Yip's fear as she scanned the waterline around the boat. It was common knowledge that overboard pets had been known to circle their own boats, trying to find a way aboard until they became too exhausted and drowned. I'm sure she was bracing herself for the possibility of finding Dylan's drowned body floating up underneath the boat. I was too. The closest spoil island was to the west of us and about 100 yards at least. Jumping in the dink, we took off in that direction looking for him. No Dylan anywhere. I was sure he would be going in this direction because the natural current would have pulled him that way. I know Dylan likes water, but I was imagining all sorts of horrible ends for my little buddy. Did he fall overboard? Was he attacked by the shark that hunts in the anchorage at night? He does swim, but as small as he is, how long until he's too tired? Swimming is hard for him. He sinks and his nose is too short. He tires easily and he freaks out. Things were beginning to look bleak for Dylan. Then I noticed some white seagulls on the opposite shore of the intercoastal. They were of the long-legged running variety that my little buddy loves to chase. This land was a good 100 yards from the boat and across a deep channel heavy with boat traffic. The shore was the place where we usually go to do our business. It was far away, too far for me to swim or for Yip to swim either. I was watching those birds, thinking about where Dylan might be and if I'd ever see him again. I was even thinking that if I did see him, I'd give him the first selection of all the treats for a week. My eye caught sight of another bird running behind the rest. He must have been a younger bird because he was smaller than his flock. Then I noticed that this last bird was not a bird at all, but rather a very wet and sandy Chihuahua, but that was not possible. They were a great distance away, only accessible by boat or by swimming if you could dodge the boat traffic in the channel. A-roo, a-roo, a-roo. I alerted Yip and we sped to the other side of the intercoastal. And there we found Dylan digging holes all over the sand. By the looks of the number of holes, he must have been at it for a while. "Dylan," I called, "what are you doing?" "How on earth did you swim all the way over here?" I quizzed. He took on a look of fierceness in his eyes. I had seen this once before at the beach. He paused for a moment from the digging, looked me straight in the eye, and uttered but one word.
"Crabs."
And then he turned back to his furious digging. On the way back to the dink, I gazed at him, wondering how much he had managed to accomplish, how he had managed to accomplish such an incredible feat. I noticed that he had a different sort of look about him. He appeared to be supremely more confident. He had lost a little bit of his former innocence. He was sticking his nose into the wind as we flew along aboard the whoopee cushion on our way back to the boat. When we embarked on the boat, Dylan casually walked over to the yellow life jacket hanging in the cockpit, lifted his leg and peed all over it. He looked over at me and grinned and said, "I guess I grew these webbed feet after all." Then he winked. You see, courage and a big heart wouldn't let Dylan accept the stereotypes of his breed. Most Chihuahuas are told. Things like Chihuahuas can't swim well. Chihuahuas hate water. They hate being dirty. Chihuahuas have no purpose these days other than to act as little cute lap dogs. Dylan just couldn't accept this. And despite the odds against it, Dylan became a true boat dog, Ella.
Hi everybody, Dylan here again. Story 14, episode 46, Ella, and part 1. We found Dylan digging holes after crabs all the way on the other side of the Intercoastal Waterway. We have no idea how he managed to get there through a busy channel and at least 100 couple of yards of a swim. He's so little, we can't believe he swam that far. There he was, so I guess we have to believe it. Ciao.